Works. All right. So right now I'm gonna go through my kind of activation and recovery series that I do for pitching. So I know you guys can't follow along with me right now, but I'll just show you what I do. If you have any questions, I'll put my number in the chat right now. Or if you want me to go to the field with you just to see how you're doing with it, let me know. You can text there. So I'm gonna take you outside and get started. So ideally you have about, you go in your backyard or just go to the field, get 10 to 20 yards of space. So what you're gonna do right away is you're gonna jog down and back to get warmed up, get the blood flowing, because that's really important when you're warming up for pitching and throwing, just getting everything set up for your body. And then the next thing I do in that space is lunge with a twist. So if you can see, lunge and then twist, and you go to the other side, lunge and twist. And then the next exercise, you do that down 10 to 20 yards. And then the next exercise is like a mountain climber with a rotation. So you're down kind of in a push up, bring the leg up like a mountain climber, bring it around, and you can go to the back side for that too. And then the next thing is a kneeling one leg rocker. So you can get down on a knee, stick your other leg out all the way. You go on your hands and then just rock forward and back for about 10 to 20 reps, kind of however you're feeling. And this will help stretch your groin and your hip flexor, and that'll help get you good for when you're actually throwing. You do the other side. Yeah, and if you can keep the outside of your foot that's down on the ground, you can feel it more stretching all the way inside. And then the next thing is ankle rockers. So ankle mobility is huge with pitchers. So you're just gonna go down a knee, stabilize yourself, and you're just gonna rock as far forward and then as far backwards as you can on your ankles. Just to get good range of motion there. Keep training that, because as pitchers need to be really flexible. I know for some of us that is our biggest enemy. But next, sorry, sheets are just blown away. Next thing you're going to do is kneeling T-spine rotations. So you're going to get on your hands and knees, and then you're going to grab your head and just kind of lightly, you're just kind of guiding it with your hand. And then you're going to go to your opposite knee and try not to bend this arm that's stabilizing you. You can angle it down a little bit more. And you rotate as far as you can. And you rotate down through to that opposite knee. And then you can go to the other side. You can do that for about 10 reps each side. That should be good. And then the next thing is cuff activations. So if you have a partner that you're with, or you have a parent that's with you when you're throwing, all you need to do is get down on a knee, put your arm out, and so your partner will hold your elbow in a neutral position, and then they'll put their hand behind your hand up here, and then they'll apply a little bit of pressure on it, and you do this, and you just push back for a count of 5, and you usually do that about 5 reps. And you just need to do that with your throwing arm, obviously. But if you don't have a partner, one thing you can do, you can come over to a wall or siding, and you can just do this and kind of get the resistance and push back from the wall that you're using, and just push back with your arm. So that is more upper body. And then for the next part of it, we have band pull aparts. So for me, I'm lucky enough to have Jaeger bands or J bands that you can use, but it's for other guys that may not have those. If your parents or you have any kind of athletic band or even a bungee cord or maybe a pair of suspenders. I've tried it. It doesn't work quite as well, but it's something to give you a little bit of resistance. But so all you're going to do is you're going to take it and you can grab more internally to get more resistance. On the bungee cord, it's kind of hard because it only stretches so far, but you take it. What you want to do is you want to go all the way back until you can really squeeze your scaps, your scapulas, so your shoulder blades, and pinch them together. And you're going to want to do that and just slowly bring it back, slowly go back, pinch, hold the scaps, slowly bring it back forward, and do that. And you're probably going to want to do that for about 10 reps. And then another thing you could do off of that is gator pulls. So you're a little inverted, you go this way, back to the middle, and you just go each direction, keeping that scapular pinch within the middle. Every rep you do it, about 10 reps each side is ideal. So that's a good one to get your scaps activated, and your scaps are a very important part of throwing. They help rotate, or they help move our arms and keep the good chain for throwing, and to provide some power and structure. And then next, you want to do a forearm stretch. So for a lot of guys, well, when we're pitching, we're pronating a lot, and the big pronator muscle is right in here, and it attaches up here on the elbow. I don't know if you can see that because of the sun. But so when we throw, we come, and when we finish, we're in a pronated position. So a lot of guys will kind of leave that to go to waste, and they get really sore in their pronators. So what you want to do before you throw is you can just come at a 90 degree like this, tilt your hand a little bit inside, and then pull on it. Do that for about a 30-second count. Otherwise, another thing you can do.
Hey, Tommy, yeah, turn the camera away from the sun next time when you point up.
Yeah.
You were good
go
down.
over here.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But so you can do this, so you can turn them a little inside. It helps stretch it better. And then you can just lean back a little bit to your comfort. Don't go to sharp pain, but tension is good. And that really stretches all the way up and down your forearm. You can feel it out here and in here in the main pronator. And then another thing you can do before you throw is you can roll it. So if you have like a foam roller, you can roll out your arm, or if you have a baseball or a lacrosse ball, it probably works best. A golf ball or a tennis ball, they work too. But you can just get on the ground and put it under your elbow or like your bicep or just up and down your forearm, and you can just roll on it and put a lot of pressure on it, and that feels really good and really loosens it up. The next thing I do is a band series. So like I said earlier, I've been very lucky to have Jaeger bands, but for guys that don't have those, once again, these work very well, the athletic bands. So otherwise, you can try bungee cords. If you got like 2 bungee cords that are kind of the same length, you can hook them up to the fence and you can do the exercises along with them. And the exercises that I typically do are, so I'll just hook up this band. All right, hopefully you guys can see. So I just go back, kind of the same thing as the band pull aparts I did earlier. You want to go slow, squeeze the scaps in the back, and that gives a good pull. And then you can go forward, and then you don't want to go too far back because then you can stretch out your pectoral muscles too much, but it's good to keep a little tension. It's good for your posterior and anterior chain. And then W's, you pull, and then you get up to where it kind of looks like a W with your head in the middle. And that's good. And you kind of get a pull on the lats and the inside of the shoulders. And then another one is elevated 90-degree rotations. So get here. So you want to about your arm roughly nipple height, and then just to create a little base for your arm, go over the top, and you just take the band and pull it down to your opposite elbow. So that's inverted, and you can go outwards like this too with the band. And then the next thing is doing that at elbow height. So all you need to do there is just lower it. So if you're on a fence, you can just take this, put it on a little lower hole, and you can go out with it like this. So lock your elbow in at the side, and you just go out, or you can go in to the other side. And so that is the band series that I do personally. And then another thing, so for weighted balls, again, I've been lucky to have access to weighted balls like driveline balls, which is this. But another thing that would work to do this exercise, if you don't have that, everybody's got a bat. You can just take it. So you want to lock your shoulder and elbow, and then you just want to rotate your arm, and you're getting a similar stretch to the sleeper stretch, which is laying on the ground with your arm like this. It's a similar motion, similar body pattern, but you also get a little bit of strengthening in your lats here, which help us slow down our arm after we release. And another thing you can do, you can get like a 3-pound weight and just do the same thing. So just something to get a little weight, roughly the weight of a bat, or 1,000 grams, which is what the ball is. And another thing, if you have the ball, or I mean, I guess you could do this with the bat, is you take it and you can do drops and release it, let it take you all the way down to the bottom, release it on your way back up, you catch at the bottom, and it really stretches the back side of your arm, like your triceps. And then next thing you can do with the weighted balls is pivot picks. So it's like a pick off, but another thing that you can use if you don't have the weighted ball, soccer ball is a very similar weight if you've got that. Otherwise, a basketball will work, or even a water bottle will work. So I'll show you how to do it with the soccer ball first, just a bigger sized ball. That's a little heavier than a baseball, obviously. So what you're gonna do, so with your feet, you're going to go like this, or for any lefties, it'll be like this. So your throwing side foot is forward, and then you're going to rotate your body back all the way around, bringing your front arm forward, and then you're releasing over the top and just rotating over that front leg. So I'll show you again. So my feet are separated. My throwing side foot is forward, and then I go back over the top. And when you throw, you want to make sure that you're over exaggerating your pronation. When you're throwing, you're finishing over the top in your arm, your palm. So pronation is when your palm is facing away from you. When we throw, we naturally finish with our palm facing away from us, and our thumb goes down to our hip. So then with the water bottle, you want to do the same activity or the same setup. But you want to do, so you grab one side of the bottle, and then when you are throwing it, you never want to let the cap, so if you grab the bottom, you never want to let the cap go underneath your wrist, because when we throw a baseball, we throw and it never goes underneath us. It just stays out to the side when we separate, and then we come over the top. So with the water bottle, you want to just keep it out to the side and then release over the top and make sure you get the pronation. So then after that, I typically go into our throwing progression, which I have, sorry, I was just looking at the chat. So then we go into the throwing progression, which I have in right here, and I have in a Google Doc that I will post to the band app after this, if you guys want to follow along with it while you do this. And then, so you're going to go through your throwing progression, and then at the end, I'm going to talk about recovery. So once you're done throwing, recovery is very important, especially for pitchers. And everything going into this, your warm up. So as pitchers, we want to warm up to throw, not throw to warm up. So a lot of us growing up, we were taught that go grab a ball and go warm up. And you just throw to get your arm loose for the game. But that can cause a lot of stress on your arm without a proper warm up. And pitching takes time, warming up takes time. And as pitchers, we control the game. So we want to make sure that we are the most ready people on the field. So all of this takes time, and you want to make sure that you are properly warmed up before you throw. Then once you're done throwing, you feel good, and your arm is really loose, then you want to go to your recovery. So for recovery, good things to do are foam rolling. So foam rolling your legs, foam rolling your arms. Otherwise, and then you want to throw or foam roll like your shoulder, or yeah.
Tommy, when you say so before you're going into your bullpen, then so after you're warming up, then you do this recovery, or is this after your bullpen, or is this after your game that you pitched?
After your bullpen or after your game that you pitched, or if you're just like doing the throwing progression,
Okay.
you can do it after that, even if
Okay.
you're not throwing a bullpen.
All right.
Thank you. So some good things to do when you're doing recovery is foam roll. So like foam roll your lats, foam roll your forearm. You can foam roll your shoulders, and foam rolling your legs is another good thing to do. You can also use the small ball. Personally, after I throw, sometimes I get sore in my elbow just with my pronator, and so that gets tight. Another good thing to do is the forearm stretch or other shoulder stretches. And then Brandon's exercises that Peg will put in band, those are really good things to do for recovery as well as strengthening and just daily stretching. And another thing you can do if you have a very nice parent or friend or coach or yourself, you can do a little bit of a massage. So personally, I like to just get in with my thumb and just dig into the connection of all the pronator muscles. And that really feels good once you're done with that for a while. And yeah, so another thing to talk about is when you're doing workouts, a lot of guys like our age, high school, teenagers, we want to look good at the beach for girls. So we're getting there, taking our shirts off, doing a bunch of bench press and push-ups. And while those are good, when you're working out, if you're throwing, you want to typically do 2 pull workouts to 1 push, because your backside is what's keeping you engaged and is what keeping your arm from going crazy. So like when you're doing like bench press, you want to add like 2 row workouts with it where you're pulling and using your back and engaging your lats, because strengthening those is going to help you slow down your arm when you throw, and you're going to lead to less injury. And that's all I got.
Hey, Tommy, real quick on the recovery. I remember seeing you last year. It might have been probably wasn't in between innings. It might have been after you were done for the game late. I know it was like 5th or 6th inning. You had a device that you wrapped around your arm. Not that everybody has one of these, but could you maybe touch base on what that thing was? Remember, you wrapped it up tight. You had it on for maybe 15 minutes, and then you took it off. What was that doing?
So that is called voodoo floss. So what it does is, so it wraps around your arm really tight. So what I did, because when I get sore around my elbow. And so it wraps it around super tight, pushing like blood up into your bicep and your shoulder, just above the area that you're wrapping. And then so you do some exercises like curls, or you can take a bat and rotate your arm with that. And what that does is it gets in there and it breaks up all the scar tissue. And then once you release, or once you take off the floss, all the new blood comes rushing in and gets new blood into the area and flushes out the scar tissue and all the damaged tissue and all the bad stuff that's in your arm after throwing. And then it just goes out when you sweat or when you pee.
Can you talk about, maybe when you started doing these types of stretches and exercises, how often, and then kind of what you've seen with benefits, how your body's felt?
Yeah. So these exact exercises I got through my winter training program with my winter
Sure.
pitching coach, Alec Crawford. And so I've been doing these I've been in the program for probably 5-6 years now. And I've been doing like these specific exercises for the last 3. They were introduced to me about 3 years ago. And so overall, like I used to throw a ton of innings every time I pitched. Like in HYA travel ball, like I would throw, typically 6-7 innings a game. I remember one game I threw like 158 pitches against Rosemount in a tournament, and I think I caught the next game. So for me, like keeping my arm in good shape was really important. And since I've been doing these, I've been noticing that my arm is stronger, and I haven't been getting like little lingering arm injuries or arm soreness nearly as often, if at all. And I think it's also helped me just gain a lot on the mound as far as able to bounce back quicker and pitch more often, and able to throw harder and potentially throw more accurate. That all comes from other practice too, but I think part of it is through all these workouts.
Perfect. Thank you.
And so on game days, at the varsity level especially, we just say, go. As everybody else is doing the regular team stretch, the regular throwing progression, we just tell our starters, go, let us know when you need that catcher. And, the only thing that we give our pitchers is the amount of time that they have left before game starts, so that they have an idea of, because you should have an idea, right, Tom, of the amount of time it takes you to warm up and get through your every
absolutely
routine. So that's usually the most common question from the pitcher is, hey, how much time we got until game time? So then they know when to get started, they know when to get going. So they're the only ones usually that aren't following the rest of the routine with the boys. They're doing their own thing, and they got the time for their own thing. So now, Tom, the rest of the days, you just follow through on the regular stuff. And if you want to do your extra stretches and things, you got to get to the field early, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yep. So if you're doing your extra band work, your extra weighted ball stuff on any of the off days, that's the time. And that's why one of the reasons why we used to start practice at 2:45, and you guys are having to bust to get out there, right? Real quick. And now we don't start till 3. That gives you a half hour time to, if you really want to do this extra stuff, you're going to get out to the field early. You're going to be the first one out there doing the extra stuff, taking care of your body. So then you're ready to go for our regular routine on those off days, practice days, other game days that you maybe aren't the starter. So yeah. And then Tommy, do you have any Bevo showed us the 2-out routine, between innings. Do you do anything specific between innings, to get you prepped and ready before you step back up on the mound, maybe second inning, third inning, fourth inning, fifth inning, whatever it is after inning one?
Yeah, for me, it's mostly I've just done like forearm stretches, or if I need to do my bands, just keep myself loose or go for a jog to keep the blood flowing. That's typically what I do. Like Staffel brought up, I have used the Voodoo Floss between innings too, just to kind of flush away anything else because I know I'm sweating up there. So it helps flush it out. But that's usually not what I go to. I typically go to forearm stretches or my bands.
I see you do those all the time.
Yep.
Like in the dugout, those forearm stretches. That seems like something that you feel like benefits you a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really good for activating my arms. I don't do it for recovery,
Mhm.
just because you kind of want to like give it a rest and do like more of a passive recovery, like with massages and like just the stretching. But yeah, I believe strongly in the bands and I love using them, and I think it really helps me get stretched out. And I think the tension that the bands provide is really helpful to strengthening the little muscles and just getting everything loose.
So, Tom, do you ice your arm after every game when you get home? Do you ice it constantly or no?
I personally do not ice it constantly. If I'm feeling sore, I definitely ice, but I typically do more stretching and more like massage work and foam rolling than icing. But yeah, icing, I definitely do feel that icing is beneficial.
I think Tommy, you pointed out, and for the kids on the that are on here, Tommy pointed out where he, typically would get sore throughout a game, or which it might be, Eddie Piney might be different. He might be sore in his shoulder, right? So that's why some of the stretches that Tommy would do between innings or whatnot. Every player, every pitcher is going to be different, correct, Tommy? I mean, like you may have some soreness on your inside elbow. Somebody else might have more soreness, come the fourth inning in their rotator cuff, or vice versa. Correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And
I think it's important that as an individual, you need to understand your arm and what does get sore from time to time. It may be different than what happens to Tommy.
absolutely. And so like the rolling, like with the ball, like a lacrosse ball. I know that's a swear word for Pagel, but
Well, it's the only good use for one.
True, but it is
There you go.
there's a really good use for it there. Even like if you're a rotator cuff guy, if you're in the front, if you're in the back, if you're a tricep guy, a bicep guy, inside the elbow. Haven't heard of too many outside the elbow, but any muscles within the arm you can roll out with a lacrosse ball or a golf ball or a tennis ball or even a baseball. I mean, I would avoid that because the laces are a little interesting, but that rolling is really good. And then there's always ways to stretch each of those muscles.
So Tommy, you talked a lot about obviously the physical part of it. What about obviously I think it's good to have a habit, right? So the bell rings 7th hour, and you're the starting pitcher. Hell, you're the starting pitcher that morning, so to say. But especially the bell rings 7th hour. What are you doing mentally from as soon as the bell rings to whether it's a bus ride to an away game, whether it's the walk out to the field? Can you maybe touch a little bit about how important it is for you as a higher end pitcher? What your mental state's at throughout this whole process, right? I mean, are you focused on the opponent while you're stretching? Maybe just elaborate a little bit on your mental approach throughout the day, and especially right up till game time.
For me personally, I kind of like to stay a little more relaxed. I want to stay focused on the game. I don't usually focus too much on the opposing team. I just kind of go out and like handle business as usual. But for me, it's what I'm mostly thinking about when I'm walking to the field or on the bus ride or I'm stretching is getting my body ready and getting my mind right just to be in the moment. So some things that I'm thinking of are just literally whatever comes. Like if we're on a bus ride, I'm just like thinking about what we're passing just to kind of stay in the moment, like be where my feet are, be where my butt is if I'm sitting on a bus seat. But and then once I get to the field and I'm stretching, I'm just thinking about every single rep that I'm doing. If I'm doing an external rotation with the band or if I'm throwing a ball to my catcher, I'm thinking about the spot I want to throw the ball. I'm thinking about where I want to pull the band to. So it's all, for me, it's all about being in the moment and getting your mind right that way.
Good stuff.
Any players have
Great
any
job.
for Tom?
Thank you.
Good work, Tommy. Ritt.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.